Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 60, How Teachers Can Make Smart Moves with Money. Oh, today's show, it is chocked full of information for you, all about how to make some really smart decisions with your money. And as we know, teachers do not go into the profession to make a ton of money or knowing that they're going to make a ton of money. And that is kind of the first thing that Rob Phelan talks about with us. And that is like kind of changing our mindsets around that. We don't have to have a lack, a mindset of lack or, not enough or scarcity. We can have an abundant mindset. We can believe that we deserve to make more money and be compensated for our time and really make some smart moves. And I mean, this is such a helpful episode. I know you're going to love it. Like, you're going to be taking pages of notes. So if you're driving, you're going to want to listen to this again because it's really that good. There's so much information. I was literally taking notes and notes. I wish I had had this conversation 20 years ago. I can't wait to put things into practice that he talks about. And also, we end up talking about how important it is to teach children the value of a dollar and understanding money and having financial literacy. And there are resources for which to do that. So that's really exciting as well. So I hope that you will stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Devery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Devery.
Hey, so today is definitely a long one, so get ready, and you are going to want some paper. I'm telling you, you're going to need to take some notes. But before we get started, I just want to remind you that if you have missed an episode, you want to make sure you're subscribed to the show, and I'd also love to hear from you. So reach out, let me know. And I just started a new Facebook group, One Tired Teacher Facebook group on Facebook. So join it and come talk about all the things that we were talking about on the podcast. And we can continue the conversation and take it to new depths because there will be more people to talk and to reflect and to share ideas. And I love that. So, it's starting slowly but surely. So I'd love to hear from you. So come join that at One Tired Teacher on Facebook. It's a private Facebook group. I'd love to have you join. And I'd also love to hear some feedback. I'd love to know what you're thinking and how you're feeling in the classroom, or if you want to share something, or do a rating and a review, and leave some information. I'd love to see it. All right, let's get to this because this is a good one. Get ready. And today we have Rob Phelan here from Fi Educator, and he is here to talk to us about finances for teachers. This is a big topic for teachers and one that a lot of us struggle with, and how we're going to make everything work with our teaching salary. And Rob is going to give us some pointers. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we can teach financial literacy to our students, because it's such an important topic for kids to know and understand. And sometimes I think it gets kind of left behind. So let's get to it. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Trina, how you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. So, Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself first so that the teachers can kind of get a feel of who you are.
Absolutely. So I am a high school math and personal finance teacher and working to build entrepreneur into my identity. And I got into teaching personal finance about 2 years ago, and it was the subject that I realized this is what I'm passionate about. So math was, a great subject. I enjoyed teaching it. I would never describe it as like my calling or passion, which kind of bothered me a little bit because I was like, a teacher should always have this, like, they should be called to the profession as opposed to like just doing it as their job. But when I found this financial literacy world, I realized, this is what I really want to do. I want to help educate students, adults, teachers, especially about how to get better with their money. Reason being, because it makes life better, and not because money is the source of happiness, but because money is often the source of stress
Yes.
and negative emotions that come out. So it's not like it's going to fix every problem in the world, but it certainly can prevent a lot of the problems that do kind of raise their ugly head in our lives that we can prevent.
Absolutely. No, I think that's so helpful and so true, because you're right. It's not going to bring us happiness, but it definitely makes life a lot easier. And even when you're first starting to teach, like sometimes I find that like teachers they don't know how they're going to live on one paycheck. And even myself as a single mom, I have more than one job. Like I have to have more than one job because my salary as a teacher it doesn't cover everything that I need to pay for with my teenagers. So talk a little bit about like how you can kind of set yourself up for success when you're first even starting in the teaching field.
Yeah, teaching is not a profession that we typically go into with a financial motive.
Mhm.
You don't hear many teachers saying, "Yeah, I got into this for the money." Um, when you're in high school or later in your career and you're thinking about like going down the route of teaching, it's usually because you like working with kids, you like working with people, you like being in front of a room and talking and conversations and building relationships. Money is not usually the word that comes up in the top 10 reasons for doing teaching.
Yes, for
So
sure.
yeah, it's definitely a limiting belief a lot of times that teachers have, that, for me, I am never going to be wealthy because I am a teacher.
Hmm.
Like my identity as a teacher means that I will always be considered to be on the lower income side. I will probably make an okay living, firmly stuck in that kind of lower middle class.
Hmm.
And for a lot of teachers, they're content with that.
Hmm.
But we can do better. Like that comes with a lot of pressure to pay debts down, that you can't enjoy some of the things that you really want to go do. You've got this bucket list of things that you would love to go do, and you're like, someday. And just someday never seems to be coming any closer because we're not able to put aside enough of our salary to really make that happen.
Uh-huh.
So it really is a big shift in mindset to go from this idea that, a teacher is a fantastic opportunity to be able to, reach this idea of financial independence, or even just a more comfortable state of living.
Hmm.
We have so much time. We have a really good skill set
Hmm.
for doing different side hustles, or if you want to transition into a different career, like that is something you are very employable for.
Hmm.
And that's something that we want to really try and focus on today, is like, how can we shift that mindset into this one of where I'm allowed to make more money. I'm allowed to be a little bit wealthier. Like just because I'm a teacher doesn't mean that I can't be wealthy.
No, absolutely. And I think that's interesting that it like starts with like everything else, like with your mindset,
Hmm.
like what you think, like kind of how you go into it all along. And you're right. And even when I was saying that in the beginning, I was thinking, yeah, I kind of knew that it was going to be okay because I also had a second income involved. But now I'm like, that is a mindset thing. Like it doesn't have to be that way. So what do you and like allowing yourself the opportunity to allow other things to come as well, I think is important. And sometimes I think when teachers do side things like tutoring, or even if you're creating materials on like Teachers Pay Teachers, or you're selling on an Etsy shop or whatever you do, I think sometimes teachers feel guilty, like they have like such a giving nature at heart, and that you're supposed to do all these things for free. Like you're actually supposed to give your time and your resources away for free. And I think that is a really dangerous way of thinking about your time and what you have to offer.
Oh, and not even just give it away for free. Like we inherently want to go above and beyond our required hours for work, because we're like, we need to
Mm.
put in this extra time to provide this really valuable service for students. We are going to put our own money into our classrooms because, you know what, we're proud of the room that we teach, and we want the best resources for our students. And if our school can't provide them, we're not just going to let it go. So yeah,
Yeah.
teachers are extremely generous in their nature, and it's a wonderful quality. You never want to lose that quality, but at the same time, you also have to learn how to take care of you first.
You're
And
right.
that metaphor of, put your own oxygen mask on first
Yes.
before you tend to anyone else, like that is what you need to think about when it comes to your own wellness. We
You
talk.
know what? You're so right. And I was going to say that actually about the oxygen masks. So
Yes.
that's funny that you said that. But I think there's like so many more parts of the mindset that are not even like right at the top of my mind. Like that's a perfect example of saying like I spent hundreds of dollars in my classroom every single year because I wanted to provide it for my students, and we didn't have it. We didn't have that at our school. And the hours beyond that, like the amount of time that you're putting in to your classroom, like if you break it down and you think about like how much money you're actually making per hour, and you're looking at it like that, and then when you stay till 6-7 o'clock at night, I mean your hourly rate is really sad.
Yeah, I think, did we talk about that in the
I
other
think we did,
podcast? I
because
think we
I'm
did,
like,
yeah.
where did I learn this from? It was from you. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think about like the best resources, the best planned lesson in the world is still not going to be effective if you are a tired teacher.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's difficult. Like your best resource is your energy, your personality, your ability to connect with students. And if you're going in there at 50%, like you're not able to give 100% anymore because you're just tired. You've been giving, your cup is empty, and there's nothing filling it back up because you're giving, you're a giver.
Yes.
And we really just need to think about, okay, how do I take care of me first? And it's okay to be selfish in this way, because by doing that, you're going to be a better teacher for students.
Yeah.
I find that by actually putting less time into my teaching and grading, I'm actually becoming a better teacher because I'm more passionate about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, I'm in school for 6:30 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon or something like that. And that is school time. That's when I'm going to give 100% to school. And then when I leave school, it's done. I'm coming home. I'm going to be with my family, or I'm going to work on some of my side hustles. And then I'm re-energized because I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
So when it comes to money, like this is one of the key pillars of health. Like you talk about what you eat. So your kind of your physical wellness, doing exercise, your emotional wellness. We talk about mental health a lot more in schools these days. I know that's a big focus in a lot of PDs I've been having in my school, but nobody's still talking about the financial wellness.
Yes.
And if you're not stressed about money, like it's one of the biggest stressors that is on the lives of the average American.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think money is the highest or second highest cause of divorce in the U.S. at the moment. If you talk about fights within relationships, I'm sure money is probably one of the top 5 as well. Whether it's about how people are spending, being stressed about not having bills paid on time, income not being high enough, or if someone's income is questionable, or there's a risk of losing a job, and we just don't know how we're going to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a huge weight to carry, and if you can remove that weight, life it feels easier.
It feels easier. No, that makes so much sense. And you're not walking around resenting what you're doing. You don't think of it like that. You're really focused on the actual teaching and not being frustrated that you're giving, and sometimes you don't want to, and that you've sacrificed your family, and you've sacrificed all these things. I think that makes total sense. So okay, so if we change our mindset and we rethink about, first of all, we think of ourselves as being able to do it, and also that we deserve to do it as well, to take care of ourselves financially, like it needs to be a priority for us. All right, so we've done the mindset part. Like what would be the next like logical step that a teacher should make when it comes to their finances?
So if you think of your time and how you allocate your time, we talked about what is the thing you value most.
Mm-hmm.
So a great exercise to do is, what are the top 10 things that bring you joy and happiness on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? And then look at how you're spending your time and see, do those match up? So if you're telling me that spending time with family is my number one priority, but you spend like less than 5%, 10% of your waking time with your family, well, it doesn't match up.
Mm-hmm.
If doing like an amazing job at teaching is like your number one priority, then it's great, you're matching it up, but you want to make sure that your time is matching with your values, and then your money follows that. So when you are talking about this, dreaded B word, the budget or the spending plan or whatever it is, it's kind of like it's got a negative association for a lot of people. They're a little afraid of the word, usually because it means you're thinking about this really restrictive, miserable time, kind of like the word diet.
Mm-hmm.
Like diet really is just essentially like what's the plan? What are you going to put in your body? It's not what are you taking out, it's what are you putting in.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with your budget. It's just like, where do you want your money to go? what do you value? And let's make sure that you're actually putting your money into those things and you're allowing yourself to have a happier life because you're getting to do the things you value. So
Yeah,
my
that
first my
love
first step would be like, where's your money going? So
that. Okay.
it can be a hard exercise, it can be a painful one, but either look back and do a little bit of digging, have a little mystery about where did my money go this past month,
Mm-hmm.
and start checking your bank statement, your credit card statements. If you got cash
Mm-hmm.
from either some side hustle or someone handed you cash, well, where did that cash go? That's the easiest one to kind of disappear with no trace.
Yes, that's true.
And
But I don't know who uses cash anymore, but yeah, it feels like that.
well, I find when I tutor, if I get paid in cash, like
Ah,
it's almost like that money doesn't exist because it
yes.
doesn't go into the normal budget. It doesn't end up in
Yeah.
my bank account, and it just kind of like somehow magically disappears,
Mm-hmm.
and you have nothing to show for it at the end.
Yes.
So it's a great exercise to get. It's usually a spending tracker is what it's called if you want to Google
Okay.
it.
Uh-huh.
I can give you one for your show notes as
Okay.
just a PDF link.
That would be
And
great.
every day, at the end of the day, where did you spend money today? So did you pull out your card and swipe it at the coffee store? Did you go get groceries? Did you have a subscription or a bill that came out of your account today?
Mm-hmm.
And just log it. Like, what was it? What was the category it was in? And how much was it? And if you do that for an entire month, you suddenly get a picture of where is my money going?
Wow.
And
Okay, so you should do that for the entire month, just so that if you do have subscriptions and things like that that are reoccurring, then you'll be able to see them,
yeah,
obviously. Okay.
a month is a good time period to start with. Like a week is
Okay.
not usually enough to get a good picture. A month
Mhm.
is good. 2 months is better. 3 months is great. And usually by about 3 months, so a quarter of a year, you have a good idea, like on average, how much you're spending each month in different categories. Because some
Okay.
months are different. Like December is an odd
Yes.
month for most people.
Yes.
Like we're just hitting January now. So a lot of
Mhm.
people are kind of maybe in a spending hangover and they're like, okay, we
Mhm.
got to tone it back a little bit. I went a little crazy in January. So we're going to have a quiet January. Or sorry, I went crazy in December. So we're going to have a quiet January. And January may not be a true representation of how you spend money, but it's a good
Okay.
place to start.
Okay.
So then if you look at your categories and you're like, you know what, I am spending a exorbitant amount of money going out to eat at restaurants,
Mhm.
and going out to eat at restaurants wasn't in your top 10. Like, you enjoy spending time with your partner or you like spending time with your friends, but did it have to be at a restaurant? Did it have to be at a really expensive restaurant?
Ah,
For my wife and I, like Starbucks makes it like it's a very noticeable category on our budget.
mhm.
We realize that we do spend a lot of money going out for coffee, but coffee dates makes an appearance on our top 10. Like we like going out and just spending time with each other. And when it comes to doing a date, a coffee date is way cheaper than going out for lunch or going out for a dinner or something like that.
Okay, so
And
that
it's more
makes sense.
social.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's good. So you're looking at where your money is going,
Hmm.
and you're making sure that it aligns with those top 10 things that you think that are priorities for you for your life. All right. So what do you do after that? Like you've now determined, uh-oh, like how am I going to make all of this stretch?
Yeah. So now you know where it's going. Let's start talking about, okay, how do you prioritize your money?
Hmm.
So the things that people spend the most on are their housing, their transportation, and their food. So are those categories that you're happy with? So like, are you happy with your housing situation? Is your mortgage too high? Is your rent
Hmm.
too high? Do you need to reprioritize that a little bit? Like if you're spending more than 50% of your income on your housing, you're technically house poor. You're spending way too much of your income on your housing. So
Yeah. What is the percentage? It's supposed to be like 33% or something like that.
I would say under 30. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you can have your housing expenses under 30, now that includes your mortgage, that includes like your homeowner's insurance. If
Mhm.
you have a HOA fee, like your housing should be under 30%.
Okay.
And that's a great recommendation. A lot of us don't fit into that. We have to
Uh-huh.
sometimes make adjustments, or we realize in the beginning maybe it won't fit, but as income increases, like it kind of gets back into that sort of range.
Hmm.
But certainly like that is a huge place where you can take a large chunk of your money back and start allocating it for something you really care about.
Okay. So let me ask, since we're talking about mortgages, like,
Hmm.
is that a possibility for people that are like coming into teaching and they're making, I don't know, $47,000 a year? And is that even logical? Can they afford, like, what do they do for a mortgage payment? Now they also have student loan debt, and they've just finished school, and so they may have some student loan debt. What do you say about that? And should that be like your first priority?
It's one of those ones that divides a lot of personal finance experts.
Mhm.
I fall in the line of a house for me is a place to live. Like I enjoy my house, but it doesn't need to be this huge extravagant thing. When
Mhm.
my wife and I came to transitioning from renting to buying,
Mhm.
we knew what we were paying in rent, and we said, well, we don't want to pay any more than that for
Yes.
our monthly mortgage. So
Mhm.
our budget was determined by what the monthly mortgage was going to be, and we made sure we didn't stretch ourselves. Like it was something that
Mhm.
fit comfortably in our budget for us. In hindsight, I actually don't know if I would go and buy again. I feel like until my student loan debt was gone,
Mhm.
until I had started getting my retirement accounts in motion, like maybe buying a house was something that should have sat on the back burner a little bit longer.
Oh, that's interesting. I think that makes sense actually. I just think it's interesting because I don't think I've ever heard it like that before. Because, everybody's always like, buy, you're renting, you're just throwing your money out the window. But I think when you have that debt, and you still have, like, what do you say about that? Like, how do you what is the best way to get rid of that the fastest?
Well, just going to go back to that comment about throwing your money away. Like
Mhm.
you're paying for a service, you are paying for somewhere to live, and you essentially, when you have a mortgage, you're doing the exact same thing.
Mhm.
I looked at my mortgage just the other night just to see kind of like, okay, what was the status of it? How much was left? And it's really depressing to know that for every
Mhm.
monthly payment of like $1,500, only
Mhm.
300 is going into actual equity. So basically, I'm banking $300 a month. The rest of it's
Oh
just going on
gosh.
interest and
Yeah.
insurance and all the other stuff that comes in with a mortgage. So like, you're not really
No,
saving
that's
that much
depressing.
money.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
where
true. That's a really good way of looking at it. That's, I mean, $300. Yeah. Wow.
So yes, you are building equity, but at the same time, a lot of people don't ever get to realize that like that $300 is locked into a house. I have to live somewhere. Like,
Mhm.
am I ever going to cash that out and have that physical cash in my hand?
Mhm.
It's questionable because like even when I get to retirement, I'm probably still going to want to live in a house, and
Mhm.
unless I downsize my house and like there is money left over, I'm probably not going to see that money. So for me, like my house is not an investment. It's not
No.
part of my net worth.
No, that makes sense. And also, it can be a liability sometimes because
Mhm.
ever know when your air conditioning is going to break, or you have to have, you need to buy a new washer and dryer or whatever, like something that sometimes you don't have to worry about necessarily when you're renting. Your air conditioning goes out and you call the landlord and they fix it immediately and it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
So,
There was a great lesson. I don't know where I got it before, but somebody just put it in plain black and white. He said, an asset is something that you own that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. And when you look at a house, like your house is not making money for you. You are essentially paying to live there. It takes money out of your pocket from your mortgage and then from all the other random things that come up every single month. Whereas if you own something that is generating income for you, so say if you do Airbnb, well,
mhm.
now your house is considered an asset. It's making money for you.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So, okay. So a teacher with a beginning teacher salary, or even if you are teaching, I mean, like for me, I took some time off, and I mean, I basically retired, like
Hmm.
left my district and came back in, and they only gave me 8 years of, 8 years of experience when I had, yeah, nearly 20. So I mean, it was like a $7,000 and $8,000 pay cut. So what do you say, like, what should be the things that you focus on the most? Like, how do you get that dollar to stretch further? Or what do you do, like, with your, like, as far as debt? Like, what do you do in that situation?
So yeah, the first part, like you're the brand new teacher, you're coming
Mhm.
in and you've suddenly got this salary bump. Like whatever you were getting, it's
Mhm.
probably now a couple of multiples bigger.
Mhm.
And especially for our new teachers that are coming in from the college life and they're in their early 20s, like it's a significant amount of money. Even if it is only like 30 to 50,000, like it's a
Uh-huh.
lot of money compared to what you probably were making beforehand. And it's so tempting to just kind of let your lifestyle increase.
Mm.
You've left home where you were living with parents, grandparents,
Mhm.
whoever it was, and they are living a lifestyle of someone who is 40, 50, 60, 70. Like
Mhm.
they've been in the game for a while, they've accumulated more money, they've accumulated more stuff, like they have a nice kind of cushy way of living. And a mistake a lot of us try to make is as soon as we get that first job, we're like, okay, I'm an adult now, my life should look like the one I just left,
Okay.
that my parents have. And we try and match it straight away, even though our income doesn't quite match that. So like we get the house potentially, or we get the really nice apartment. Like, so we bump
Yeah.
up from what we were doing in college. My beater car, I don't need a beater car anymore. I've got a new job. I'm making it. Like, I'm going to get a brand new car. We start eating out more. We're going to go to the nicer restaurants. I need a new wardrobe. I'm a professional now. Like, I've got to have all the nice clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Gym membership. It's important to work out. I need an expensive membership to do that. I need subscriptions. I need to have Amazon Prime. Spotify's got to be in there. Netflix, Disney Plus. Like, we got to have all the things.
Yeah.
And it's everything kind of just adds up, and you're like, I can afford it. Like, within my paycheck, like, I can pay for all these things, and I finish at zero at the end of the month, and that's great. You don't see the problem yet, especially when you're in the kind of early 20s. You don't have any other responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to eat ramen for a couple of nights because you ran out of money at the end of the month, no biggie. But we're not realizing is that we should have been putting some money aside at that point for the future.
Okay.
And that could be retirement. That could be for that first down payment on your house. It could be to upgrade your car to the next level. Like, it's the idea would be that you don't super inflate your life straight away, that you say, okay, I'm going to give myself a pay raise. Like, I'm going to let myself spend more money, but I'm going to take a percentage of what I earned or what got increased, and I'm going to put that aside for me tomorrow, or me in a couple of years time, or me for retirement.
Yeah.
And that concept is pay yourself first. So you're taking care of you first, but also pay yourself tomorrow. So anytime you get a pay increase, you're taking a percentage of that, and it's going for you in the future. And if you can be disciplined about doing that from the very beginning, like, the age at which you could retire could come dramatically down. Like, we could be talking about retiring in your 30s.
Wow.
If you start this in your teens, and you get to 30 and you've got 500, 600,000 net worth, like, you're done. Like, you've made it. You don't have to teach anymore if you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's so smart. That makes so much sense. I think, how realistic do you think that is for people, for new teachers, or even people that are just first starting out? I think that, like, now in hindsight, at the age that I am, I'm like, yes, that would make so much sense.
Well, this is why I start with the personal finance in high school. And I work with ChooseFI, which is a financial podcast, and we brought out a K through 12 financial literacy curriculum. So we're talking about bringing financial topics all the way down as far as kindergarten. And actually, we've got some pre-K stuff going on too, which is really exciting, that if you can start at the bottom and build up. We don't run into the same problems that we are probably talking about now with teachers who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s. You didn't have that education, that opportunity to make those better decisions. So now we're talking about a different scenario that we have to try and dig ourselves out of.
Yeah. Which I think is a lot harder, rather than like setting yourself up in the first place, like setting yourself up for success in the first place. Digging out is just like so much harder.
and we tell our students that all the time when it comes to their grades. Like, if you stay on top of it, if you're proactive from the beginning, school is easy. Like, you study a little bit every night, and you'll find everything's going to be a little bit easier. Like, you don't really have to try and dig yourself out of a hole at the end of a semester. The test is not that big a deal because you've been preparing for it the entire time. Like, it's the same mentality that we want to bring to our money, that if you are taking care of yourself every day, little bit by little bit, it's going to get better and better and better.
It's going to get better.
And we can start that later.
Yeah.
Like, you can start that in your 20s and your 30s, your 40s. It's not going to be as like impactful as it would be if you started in your teens, just because teens have time on their side, and that is the biggest asset when it comes to building wealth.
Yeah.
But we can still do it.
Okay. So before we talk about, because I want to talk about some more about the curriculum, or like the things that you're doing, because I think that's really interesting, and I think that it would be very helpful for kids, and I think that we should be informing them, and they don't know, and I also feel like we need to have some things that are relevant. Like, they need to see the relevance for them and their learning, and that is an example of something that is relevant for the rest of their lives. But okay, so we talked about like changing your mindset, and we talked about like prioritizing where you spend your money, and matching, and not immediately matching your lifestyle when you first leave college. But what do you say to people that have been teaching for a while and maybe didn't start their life, like they did the opposite of that? Like, they came right out. And they're like, what do I do now? And they're in the middle range, or even they have been, teaching for a little while, and they find their life circumstances change. Like, for me, like, my life circumstance changed, and that was not in my plan. And so what do you say to a person in that situation?
Yeah. And I mean, I hold my hand up as being one of those people as well. Like, I came out of college, I started my first job, I bought a new car. My wife and I moved in together, and we got a nice apartment, and just like started letting things kind of creep in, my bank balance was hitting zero at the end of the month. And I was like, no big deal. The next paycheck's coming. And it's a situation you get used to, and then you have to unravel it, which is the hard part, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with tracking expenses. Where's your money going? Then we said, cut out anything that you don't really value. So start trying to create a gap for yourself. So the gap between what you're earning versus what you are spending. So you're trying to create that space between, and that's what we're going to use to get ourselves out of trouble.
Okay.
So if you do have debt, if you have taken on a car loan, if you've got a lot of student loans, if you've let credit cards kind of get into your life and they've started digging their claws in a little bit, like you're spending next month's paycheck or 2 months from now's paycheck on your credit card because you're like, I have to, like, I can't make ends meet without it. We've got to try and create that space and then start unraveling that problem.
Okay.
So I would say, cut out your waste, create at least something that you can start saving every month, whether it's $50, $100, whatever it is, something to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And step one is to try and get yourself a $1,000 cushion.
Okay.
So
do you recommend that before you, like, why are you trying, like, as far as debt versus savings, are you trying to get rid of the debt first and then save? Are you trying to do this simultaneously?
the saving, this part comes first. So this is a $1,000 emergency fund.
Okay.
And the reason we start with that is it's got to stop you from going back into debt.
Okay.
So you can't, it's very difficult to like cross your fingers and hope that nothing bad's going to happen while you're trying to get out of debt, because what will end up happening is your car breaks down. Something needs to be replaced.
Flat tire.
You're out of work. You're out of work for a week or so and you have no leave left. So you're suddenly on unpaid leave. Like something inevitably happens. And for some reason, it always happens to the person who really needs it not to happen to them.
Yeah.
Like that Murphy's Law idea of like what can go wrong will go wrong. And as soon as you create that financial cushion for yourself, you start realizing that the emergencies stop happening, or they're not emergencies anymore. So you don't even notice them. But yeah, so that $1,000 will at least cover the majority of like emergency expenses that you would typically have gone back to your credit card for. So your card has to go into the shop. Like most car fixes are going to be under $1,000, hopefully.
Okay.
If you have some part of your house that breaks, like most of them will be under $1,000, like you'll be able to cover it. So we get to that 1,000 and we say, all right, we're going to stop using debt as much as possible, like all together if we can. And for some people that is dramatic as cutting up your credit cards. For some people, it means putting it in a block of ice and putting it in your freezer so that there is some barrier to you using it. But you got to stop going into debt if you're going to try and get out of debt.
Okay.
So we start saying, all right, no more debt. And then we start what's called the debt snowball or the debt avalanche. So these are two ways of paying down debt. It really is up to personal preference which one you're going to go for. The debt snowball is, I think it's a term that was coined by Dave Ramsey. And this is where you list all the debts you have from smallest to biggest. And we're talking about dollar amount. So you've got like a $150 credit card bill. You've got a medical bill lying around somewhere for a couple hundred as well. Those are nice small ones that are easy to get out of the way as soon as you start concentrating on them. So you list them smallest to biggest. You pay minimum amounts on whatever the minimum required amount is on all of your debts except the smallest one. And then whatever you were using to build up that emergency fund now gets thrown at that debt. And you start with the smallest one. You pay it off usually relatively quickly. Whatever you were paying for that one, you roll into the next debt. So you've added the minimum payment to whatever you were paying. Your little snowball starts to get a little bit bigger. And you keep going up and up and up and up. And eventually you've got this nice big chunk of money every month that you're throwing at your debt. And it could take you a couple of months. It could take you a couple of years. Like this is not necessarily going to be the fastest process in the world for some people, but at least by getting rid of the small ones, you start getting those little wins along the way. You're like, okay, I'm seeing the needle move. I'm getting some traction. There's a couple of things off my shoulder. It feels a bit better psychologically. The other one then is called the debt avalanche. And this is probably the more mathematically savvy way of doing it. You list your debts from highest interest rate to lowest. So the reason that is like the higher the interest rate, the more that debt is costing you every month. So typically credit cards go at the top of the list. They're usually around like the 20% interest rate to 30% or whatever your credit card is. And you say, okay, I'm going to pay off the highest interest rate first and then move down through the interest rates. And you include your student loans in that. Your mortgage typically doesn't go into this. Like that's a debt, yes, but it's usually the lowest interest rate debt you have, or it's a 30-year, like
Yes.
it's a longer term debt that we don't include at this time.
Okay.
So you pay down all these debts and, finally you're debt free. Like it's such a amazing feeling when you're like, I don't have to pay anything for a car. My student loans are done. There's no more bills hanging around that, people have been calling me up about. Like it is an
Mhm.
amazing feeling. And now you're suddenly like, okay, like a little bit of stress has gone out of my life. And the next step now is to make that $1,000 emergency fund a real emergency fund. And
Okay.
that is 3 to 6 months of your expenses.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
So whatever you're spending every month, like if you've tracked your expenses, you have a good idea of how much I've been spending a month.
Mhm.
And an easy way to do it is how much are you saving each month? And then what is your paycheck? And you basically take your paycheck, you subtract what you're saving because you're clearly spending the rest of it because
Uh-huh.
you have no other
Yes.
explanation for where it is. So you multiply that by 3 and you say, okay, that's the minimum that should be in this emergency fund. So if I lose my job, if something really serious happens, like I've got a nice runway to kind of figure things out and get myself back on my feet.
Yeah.
And 3 to 6 is usually a good place to start.
Okay.
And then we start talking about investing.
Okay. Wow. That is so helpful. I think that's really helpful. That'll be really helpful for teachers and for anyone.
I think it's
So,
nice to have a blueprint that you can follow. That's like, okay, here's step 1, step 2, step 3,
mhm.
and it goes in it makes sense the order it goes in, and
Yes.
it's just a plan to follow. Whereas a lot of people they need a plan,
Yeah.
and coming up with a plan is the hardest part.
Yeah, it can be the hardest. You're right. I think that's so true. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about this, like this curriculum and all this work that you're doing you're putting out there for kids, for students, for teachers to use with students, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a free to use curriculum. It covers K through 12. There are 9 major theme units that kind of go throughout the curriculum. So we've got things like earning more income. We've got comparison shopping. We've got analyzing different types of accounts. So where you're saving your money. Uh, we've got investing. We've got insurance. We've got credit. This idea of financial independence gets its own unit as well. So
Wow.
it's
That's
it's
awesome.
it was so fun to write. I'd never written something like this before. Like
Mhm.
I've worked as a curriculum writer for my county before, but
Mhm.
that typically involved just like making the odd resource, typically like working on assessments that were for a
Yes.
curriculum that already existed. So being able to, from the ground up, build a curriculum was like a really kind of cool experience where we knew what our end goal was. We knew what we wanted the
Yeah.
average 18-year-old to know when they left high school to be a financially literate person. And then
Yeah.
it became a case of backward mapping it all the way down to kindergarten.
I love that. So I mean, we don't in the state of Florida already have like that's not a mandatory class.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, don't you think it should be?
There's only 5 states where it is a mandatory graduation requirement to have 1 semester of financial literacy.
And isn't one of them Texas? I feel like
It,
Texas has that.
Texas is probably on that list.
That's
Virginia is
crazy
another
though.
one. North Carolina has just joined
Five
that
states.
group
That's
as
really,
well.
and we have to have algebra 1. Like everyone must pass algebra 1,
Mhm.
but we don't have to know how to take care of our finances. How
Yes.
sad is that?
And like as a math teacher, I want to be able to stand up for my subject and be like, yeah, math is super important. And it is. Like the skills
Mhm.
that you learn in math are really important. It's not about the algebra, it's about the problem solving, the
Yes.
logical thinking,
Mhm.
the being able to reason through different scenarios. But yeah, like I'm not a firm believer that every kid needs to be able to pass algebra 2 to be
Yes.
considered college and career ready.
Yeah.
Whereas like they don't know how to manage their money. Like how on earth are they college and career ready?
Exactly. Or how, yes, yeah, how they, yeah, they're going to just crash and burn. So I think that is, I mean, I think I told you that before we came on. I mean, or maybe I didn't. My roommate taught me how to balance my checkbook, which was a checkbook. That sounds so funny. And when I first went to college, like I had no idea. I
Yeah.
had no idea what to do with money,
And that's kind
really.
of evolved, like you said, like we don't necessarily balance a checkbook too much anymore. Most of the time now it's reconciling your account. Like you're looking
Mhm.
back through your transactions and
Mhm.
seeing, do they match up with what they were supposed to?
Mhm.
Can you find out where all of your income went? So
Yes.
like you knew that this amount came in. Can you find where all the different places were that it went out?
Yeah. Which is so, I think that's so important. So you are coming out with that. Is that curriculum already out or you're putting it out? I saw that you
So
posted something, like talk about that.
Yeah, so it is like on the verge of coming out. We have written all the lessons. We have added all the resources. It's starting to look really pretty and refined now. The website is currently being built to host it. So it's going to be located at choosefi.com/K12.
Okay. And you'll send me the actual link and I'll put it in the show notes, but
Yes.
people can also remember that too. So say it again, choose.
Choose. So the word choose,
Uh-huh.
the letter F, the letter I,
Okay.
and then .com/K12.
All right. That's so cool. So choosefi.com. And so teachers can use this in their classroom at all different grade levels, like from kindergarten
Teachers
to
can
12th
use
grade.
it. Parents who are homeschooling can use it. Hey, a parent can just say, you know what, there's some really great financial
Yeah.
lessons in here. My kid's not getting in school. Why don't I just bring it home and try and do it myself? We've made it for the teacher who doesn't really know much about money, because there's very few teachers getting financial literacy training as part of
Yes.
their college programs or in their professional development.
Yeah.
So we had to make it for a teacher who maybe doesn't really know anything about money. Like, it's
Uh-huh.
got to be scripted to a certain level. So like you have the option of like using the kind of, it's almost like a word for word script if you really are like that uncomfortable with what you're
Mhm.
saying, all the way up to like the teacher who feels very confident about it. And like any curriculum, you take the best parts of it, you kind of
Yeah.
you work your magic on it, and you produce this really great lesson. Like, we hope we've taken most of the workload off of you for it. And it should build up as well. So like the K
Mhm.
part, you're not talking about financial concepts per se. You're talking about things like sharing.
Yeah.
You're talking about like, okay, what does it mean to earn something?
Mhm.
So like that you have to give something to get something, and the idea of delayed gratification. How do you delay getting personal gratification for something better later?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear
That
the marshmallow test?
no.
It was a really kind of fun psychological experiment that was done. I don't know which university did it, but essentially they had a room full of kids, and they put
Uh-huh.
one marshmallow in front of them, and they said, you can choose to have your marshmallow now, but if
Uh-huh.
you wait whatever the time period was, I think it might have been 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, we will give you two marshmallows.
Okay. I think I
And
have. Keep going.
so like, a big number of the kids were like, you know what, I'm just going to eat my marshmallow
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
no, don't worry about later.
That would
And then
so be my son. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there were other kids who were like, you know what? I like the sound of two marshmallows. I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna get the second marshmallow.
Mhm.
And it's that idea that we can teach kids that in today's world where there is instant gratification all around us,
Yeah.
that there is still this idea of waiting and being patient, and learning that if we, pause now, we can do something a lot better later.
Mhm.
And our money's kind of the same. Like, it's not a case of like you have to stop living now, like you don't
Yeah.
enjoy life right now, and you work as hard as you can, and then maybe in like 30 years time you get to start living. Like, nobody wants to do that.
Mhm.
But you can say, all right, I'm not necessarily going to treat myself
Yeah.
every single occasion possible now. I'm going to like hold off a little bit, in the hopes that later I will be able to enjoy life even more, and on a daily basis, hopefully.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that's great. I love this. I think it's so great. So it's coming and they can find it at choosefi.com /K through 12
Yep, forward
and
slash K through 12.
/ I don't know why I said / I don't know why. Yeah. Anyway. So yes, that's so exciting. So we can
Mhm.
start incorporating I'm going to download that. And yeah, my son, he needs some financial literacy.
Yeah, and then I'm excited because I get to teach this. So my spring semester is starting at the end of January, and I have two classes of this personal finance. It's technically personal finance and math combined together, but it's going to use the ChooseFI curriculum. And I've started like a new website, FiEducator.com, where I'm going to kind of chronicle my journey through teaching this. So
That's
for
so
any
cool.
teachers who are like, I'm interested in learning how to like
Yeah.
teach financial literacy, or I want to bring some of these concepts into my social studies, my English,
Uh-huh.
my math class, like I'll be able to give you almost like this is what I did. This is how it worked for me. These are some of the areas that kind of caused problems. These are some of the areas that like kids really excelled at.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and do audio, video. I'm going to try and have some student feedbacks. Just a lot of kind of
That's cool.
interactive, fun things for kids to do.
Yeah, that's great. That's going to be so fun. I love that. And it's going to be so valuable. I hope that
I,
it like really just takes off because I think we need it. I think a lot of us need it.
I hope so. Like the 2 years I have taught financial literacy, it has been
Mhm.
the most gratifying experience that I've had in education, where I'm seeing seniors get to the end of their high school career and like, you know what, I've made a better decision about college because of the class I've taken. Like, I'm not going to go to that really expensive private school. I'm going to go to the state school, which is a third of the price.
Yeah.
And I found a part-time job to help me offset it. So I'm taking like minimal student loans out, or I applied for a bunch more scholarships and hey, I got them. Or I called up the school admission and I said, I'm still undecided. What can you do for me?
Uh-huh.
And even just that call alone, a lot of admissions offices will say, okay, yeah, we still need to fill our quota. So every admissions office has a quota of students they have to bring in.
Yeah.
And if they're getting into March, they're getting a little bit desperate to meet that quota. They'll throw more money at you.
Wow. That's
So
interesting to know. That's interesting for teachers that have kids that are getting ready to go to college. So that's really helpful as well.
yeah, and it's all about those small little ways of being more mindful about how you're spending money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing kids now, like they're reaching back out to me a year or two later and being like, hey, I have a question about, potentially buying my first home. Like, what do you think about this? And it's so nice that they are thinking about it in a different way, and then B, that they're still willing to reach out and, they're remembering that there was positive lessons here somewhere. Let me try and figure it out again.
Yeah, you've made that kind of relationship with them. I think that's really cool. Well, I really appreciate this. I think this is really helpful and I wish you the very best. How can the listeners find you and your website and things like that?
Okay, so the website that is going to be starting hopefully in like the beginning of February is going to be fieducator.com.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Pinterest page, which is also under the username Fi Educator, and that's where I post a lot of financial independence and financial literacy resources, some for teaching financial literacy, and a lot of them are for educators themselves. So if you are like, I want to get more of a grip on my financial well-being,
Yeah.
check it out. I post some good stuff there. If you are into listening to podcasts, which you probably are if you're listening to this, there are a lot of great financial literacy podcasts out there.
Okay.
So if that's like your way that you like to consume content, like I do recommend something like ChooseFI. There's other ones like Afford Anything, Stacking Benjamins. If you're looking for something a little more educator specific, 1 Million Apples is a really good one to do.
Huh.
There's this weird one. I was like, Teacherpreneurs, raise your hand. I mean, that's like,
yeah, that's really weird.
just like it's this guy Zig Ziglar had this great quote that you can get the equivalent of a university degree in your car, like going 20 minutes to and from work in like 3 years. And it's so true. Like, podcasts are a great way to consume information and learn. Like, you may not have the official degree stamp afterwards, but as long as you keep improving and keep getting that 1% better and more knowledgeable, like, it's going to pay you dividends.
I totally agree. I was just watching Shark Tank, and I like watching that for some reason. But anyway, so I'm watching it, and the people that did the deal, they left, and they're all excited about getting the deal, and the sharks turn to each other, and they're like, what I love about them is they didn't have any fancy degrees. He's like, they just figured it out. And I was like, yes, people are really realizing that it's about figuring it out. And so that's what we have to do that. We have to figure it out. And we have to teach kids how to do that. We have to teach them how to figure it out. That's real life. So I think that's exciting.
Yeah. And then I have a book coming out at hopefully the end of January. It's a workbook for students and teachers about how to start your own business. So it's called The Simple Startup, a beginner's guide to starting your own business. And that's at thesimplestartup.com. And so you'll find an about me there. I have a contact form there. So if you want to reach out and kind of talk to me directly, that's a good place to find me. Okay. And I'm all over Facebook if you're talking about financial literacy groups and stuff like that. So I'm sure you'll find me somewhere.
That's exciting. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for sharing all this really helpful stuff and for continuing to put stuff out there. That's great.
Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to seeing listener questions and hopefully being in the groups to answer them.
Yeah, we would love that. Thank you. And thank you for sticking around. I know that was a long one, but that was just so full of such good information. Rob is very knowledgeable. He has a lot of really interesting things to say and things that are really important for us so that we don't find ourselves in situations where we are I have to continue on and on and on forever after you've gotten a little bit tired. So you want to make sure that you are making smart choices with your money as soon as possible. The earlier, the better. And if you're later on into life, like myself, then make them. You got to make them anyway. You got to start somewhere. So when we do something important, we can start with really small habits. We talked about habits last week on the podcast. If you missed that, you want to check that out. That was episode 59, and it was talking about making new habits for the new year. So maybe this is one of them. Your financial well-being is a really important habit, really important thing for you to do. So just start making those small habits of paying attention to where your money is going and all the other brilliant things that Rob said. So this one tired teacher is feeling pretty rejuvenated and ready to start saving lots of money. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.